Hey, how's it going, ninjas? This is Ninja Monkey Video School, video number 10. In this video, we're going to go over how to create a DVD or Blu-ray in Adobe Encore using Adobe Encore CS6. So Adobe Encore CS6 is basically what I think one of the best, if not the best, DVD authoring programs available on the Mac. It's still only available in the CS6 version before Adobe went to CC. The way that you have to basically get that, you can go here into the Adobe Creative panel here, Adobe Cloud panel, go to your apps. You would go to Adobe Premiere CC, you'd go to other versions, and you download, install CS6 6.0. That's going to basically include Adobe Encore inside of it so that you could have it on your Mac. Now, what we're going to start at, we're going to create a new project right here in the welcome screen. It allows you to either open one of your recent projects or open a new project. We're going to name this Ninja School 10. And we're going to put this right here on our desktop, just to make life easy. And what I always like to do is I like to start creating things as a Blu-ray instead of a DVD because it's much easier to downscale a Blu-ray to a DVD than trying to upscale later from a DVD to a Blu-ray. It's going to be NTSC because I'm in America. If you're in the UK or other areas, you would use PAL. This is pretty much the way to go, and you can change the default transcode settings if you'd like to a higher transcode rate, but I usually 15 has always worked fine for me, and Adobe Digital my frame rate might change, but I'll make sure to adjust that later. And I'll just press OK and OK. Now the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to right click here into the project panel here on the top left, and I'm going to press New Timeline. This is basically going to import, I'm going to import as a timeline. It's going to import an asset as a timeline instead of having to make an asset and then create a timeline later. Just saves me an extra step. Just import as a timeline. So I'm going to go in my weddings folder. I basically wanted to choose, let's basically just use these two. These will probably work fine for our purposes. We'll just import them right there. All right, now that we're imported, the next thing that I like to do is start working on my libraries. Right here on the bottom right, you're going to see that there's several panels. There's going to be library. If it's not open, just go to library, right here, window, and make sure library is open. So I'm just going to look at menus. You can basically go to the different options, buttons, text, and things like that. We're just going to be looking at display of menus. And I always suggest starting as an HD menu, where basically I'm going to start as the wedding menu, HD. So this is basically going to work for us as our main menu. Double click it to import. And then we're going to need a sub menu. So this is a nice sub menu that works nicely with that wedding sub menu. So we'll just put that in for our chapter menus. So some things that we can do very quickly right here. We'll double click on our menu. Let's save it. Now that we've done that, we'll save it so we have a good save of everything. So this I like to basically change to play wedding. Play full wedding, so that the viewer will know to change that. This will change to chapter selection, but I like to have lowercase, so I'm just going to write it again. Sometimes it doesn't let me change that here, so I'll just forget about that here and change it in Photoshop in a second. I'm going to delete my bottom button because I only am going to need 3 buttons for this. If you do need 4 buttons, you're going to leave that and just rename it whatever you need. I'm going to delete this for now, so just select it and press delete. Right here, I'm going to change this to play highlight so that when this gets clicked by the user, it's going to play the highlight. Press enter and it changes it. So right here, these are the main things that I have to get going. So right here, I'm going to change the link for this. When I play full wedding, it's going to play the full wedding that I just imported. Make sure you're clicking on the timeline. When I play highlight, it's going to play the highlight that I just imported. And when I put chapter selection, it's going to go to that chapter selection screen, the sub menu that I just imported. So that's pretty easy to do. We can double click on our sub menu. We got to set up these chapters. So usually what I like to do is set up the chapters with the monitor. So you would basically go through, make sure you're set up your chapters in exactly where you want them to be. I'm just going to set them real quick for our purposes right here. Set one right here, set one right here. So we have 3 chapters. And you're also going, another thing you can do, we'll give it a second to load in. Sometimes it takes a second for the larger videos for it to load. So what we're going to say this first one is pre-ceremony, the second one is ceremony, 3 is post-ceremony. What a nice thing you can do with Adobe Encore is that you can choose what you want to show as a picture. Instead of showing the first frame, which is just going to be black because I'm fading in, I can show this as the picture that it's going to show for this chapter. I right click on the chapter and press set poster frame. Now when I show that chapter, it's going to show that poster frame. We'll show how that works right here. We'll go to Submenu. Each of these are each a link, each of these chapters. We're going to click right here on this link and click and drag to 1. So right there it's going to show whatever's on 1. Click and drag to 2. And then go to 3 and we're going to click and drag from link to link 3 to make sure that that's all set and ready to go. And now another thing that you can do in here, you can change the names right from here. You don't have to go into Photoshop. We'll just name this pre-ceremony. Sorry, I put a U there at the end. We'll just change that to a Y. And here we'll change this one to ceremony. Just going to copy it to make this easier. And then this one will be post ceremony. So these are our 3 chapters. Since we're only doing 1 chapter screen right here with 3 chapters, we only need 1. So we're not going to need this next. We can just get rid of that right here. Main menu is going to go back to that main menu that we got right here. And another thing that you can know, that you can change that next to a previous. So if you're doing many different submenus, you can basically have it keep going next, 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 and then also have a previous button. So you can go to the previous menus so the user will be able to navigate. I'm going to save right here, Command S, just so we have everything saved. Now let's go to our first main menu. We're going to right click and go edit menu in Photoshop. So we'll open up Adobe Photoshop and we'll be able to change this our wedding part and basically everything else in the menu. The nice thing about Photoshop is that basically you have full control and full access to all of Photoshop's features. So we'll name this Ninja School 10. And I basically can press V and just slide it over, put it exactly where I like it, what I want to do. I could have it on the bottom, whatever you like. And then the chapter selection, remember I wanted to have the first letters to be lowercase, so I can go right in here, just change those to lowercase, do whatever I like. Make sure to never take anything out of these folders. These are organized for you so that everything's ready to go. You can change the highlight color. That's basically going to be the highlight when the user starts navigating with their remote control. They'll be able to see that highlight wherever you've placed it. So if you basically move that around, move that to the left or to the right or different places, sorry, I'm on the wrong place, move that highlight to the left or to the right, it'll basically be right there where you wanted it. We'll turn it off. You don't want it on all the time. You only want it to show when the user's moving around, and that'll happen automatically with Encore. We'll save that because that's all we really need to do. Actually, before we save, I'll teach you how to change the background. We'll click on the background. We can turn that off, turn it back on. You could also put in any picture that you like into here. So if I just go into my Finder, I can go into wedding stills that I have here, all my stills for my weddings. I could just use this still right here. It'll work. Drag it in. You could change the size of it and things like that, but I'm not going to mess with that right now. I'm just going to press enter, and that'll lock that in for me. Right here you can see Ninja Video School is the wrong color. So we want that to be white so it shows. So I can just double click it and have here at the top so I can change the color very quickly. And you can see here, whatever you show on the eyeball is what's going to be shown. So you can mess with the opacity right here and kind of have like an integrated look. You can get real artsy, do whatever you like. I mean, it's Adobe Photoshop, so the options are limitless. It's really, you can do whatever you like. So once I'm ready, I can just save it. And you say that that's what I want my menu to look like. We'll hide it because it's saved. And go right back in here into Adobe Photoshop, into Adobe Encore, and just give it a second for it to load back in. All right, and once we're loaded back in Adobe Encore, basically we have our main menu ready to go. We'll say that we'll just pretty much stick with this style here. You can obviously go back into Adobe Photoshop and adjust anything you like. I pretty much showed you how to do that. So one thing that we want to do, we'll go into the flow chart. We're going to have to make this DVD basically work. And what that means, the flow chart, is basically we are going to show the program what to do when this DVD is inserted and when different things happen, what menu to go to next and things like that. So right here, the first thing that I like to do is click on this CD icon, and I'm going to change the name of this so it doesn't show untitled project. This is going to be shown when anybody pops in this DVD. So we don't want it to show untitled project. We want to show that we actually did our job. Usually like to put the bride and groom's name with the wedding date right here. The next thing we're going to want to do is put our first play. So the first play, once this DVD is inserted, what's the first thing that's going to happen? So I want to play the main menu. So this wedding menu HD is the first thing that's going to happen. Once that's clicked, chapter selection will go on to here. Now, one thing that we're going to have to change, because basically this wedding submenu is expecting us to have many more things, we're going to have to go into Adobe Photoshop to fix this so that this doesn't have all of these different options. Let's just save right here before we go in, and we're going to right click and edit menu in Adobe Photoshop. This will load this up for us, and we can close down these folders, and we can see that these folders we basically don't need. We're going to unclick the eye icon to hide them. You only need these on the bottom. These are only needed when you're doing, these basically are little shortcuts that Adobe has included for you. So if you're doing several different menu pages, it just makes it a little bit easier when you're doing that. If you want to have next for some menus and previous for others and things like that, it just makes it a little bit easier. For our purposes, we're just going to turn them off. We're going to save and go back in, hide to go back into Adobe Encore. Just let it load up. All right, now that that's loaded up, one of the last things we have to do to make sure that this DVD is working correctly, the end action. Once these videos finish playing, what do we want it to do? So I usually like the end action just to go back to the main menu. So we'll just go right here, click and drag from the end action onto the main menu. So right now we'll save since we're pretty much done, and we're gonna check it by right clicking on the CD icon and previewing. So this will allow you to go through the DVD and actually see if everything's working correctly. The main thing we're gonna wanna check is that chapter selection is going and actually taking us to where we wanna go, and then we can actually go back to the main menu. And it's going to play the highlight and it's going to play the full wedding. We're not going to go into that. If you did put the links correctly, they will go to the correct place. So you don't actually have to go and watch the videos and everything like that and check the end action. They should work correctly. We'll just wait for this to load up. Anytime you're going into preview and things like that, you might have to wait for this beach ball. Adobe Encore hasn't been updated in a long time. So sometimes you're dealing with these type of errors. But usually if you wait for at least like a minute or two or maybe 30 seconds, it'll go away. Sometimes clicking away and things like that will help. We'll just wait for this to go away. All right, now that we've checked it, so we're pretty much ready to create this DVD. It's all ready to go. We've checked that the DVD works exactly the way that we want, and all of the videos are the correct videos. We can double check that here if we want. Full wedding will play there. Highlight right here. It's going to show you what this video is right here that's going to play. So we're going to go here to our build tab. We're going to be building right here just an imaginary Blu-ray DVD. I'm not actually going to do it, but you have a few options. You could either create a disc, a folder, or an image. Those are pretty nice options if you don't actually want to create the disc right now and you just want to create an image later for use. It's pretty nice, and you can bring that image here in to Adobe Encore. It's pretty nice. It'll work very nicely for you. So, and you could also do a flash as well. That's a nice option. That's a diskless option. So we'll check the project. We can just go right here to check, make sure everything's working correctly. And it seems like there's no items found. All my links are set correctly. I have end actions for everything. The first play is set. Everything's ready to go. So I could create my DVD right here if I was ready to go. I just have to basically pop in a DVD. If I don't have a DVD ready to go, I can put my destination. Let's say I just want to put it on my desktop for now. Put choose, and then I would be able to build it right there on my desktop. I'm not going to do that for now, but that's an option that's pretty nice, and you could create it with the current project, or you could also create it with an image and things like that. Those are other options that you could have, but right now we're not going to go into that, but those are other options. Right now I would say the easiest thing for you to do is either create a disc or create an image, and just choose where you want that image to go, and then you could use that image later. But that's a Ninja Monkey video school for this week. Next week, I'm going to go over how to create a Blu-ray or DVD cover in Adobe Photoshop. So how to find the template and how to create a Blu-ray or DVD cover and print it correctly so that it's going to look good. and then how to cut it out and things like that, so that you'll be able to get it in a case and make it look professional, so that you look like you created a professional DVD for them, like a movie studio would have. Please, if you like this video, please subscribe so you get all of my videos every week. I have a video every week. And please share so that more people can find out about it. If you have any questions, just ask in the comments, and I'm more than willing to help anybody that has any questions. Thank you very much. Have a good week. Bye.